Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I will introduce today's topic. So today we're going to learn how to protect your money. And I have with me Chris, who is going to lead today's workshop. Obviously, I'm not the expert here, so I'm going to give it over to Chris because I don't want to waste any time because we have a lot to cover today. Without further ado, I will pass it over and we'll get started.
Thanks, Cassie. Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Allum, as Cassie mentioned, and I'm from the Ontario Securities Commission. Today, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about fraud prevention, also share some information on savings plans that are available to help you save, and talk a little bit about working with a financial advisor, and then where to get resources. Now, that's a lot of information. I don't expect you to all remember everything and take notes, because what I'd like to say is um, I am going to, at the end of the presentation, I'll send Cassie an email with links to the different resources and the information that I provided so that you can have this information as a reference. You don't need to take notes. Before I share my screen, you just need to know that I'm using my Chromebook. So when I share my screen, I lose all Zoom controls. So I don't see the chat box. I don't see you if you decide that you want to wave your hand because you have a question or anything. So what I'm going to suggest is wait for me to end my presentation, and then I'll take any questions. If you think of a question that comes up during the presentation, by all means, enter it in the chat box, because we will go back to that and take those questions also. So without further ado, let me share my screen. Okay, so for those of you who may not be familiar with the Ontario Securities Commission, we're a government agency. We regulate the capital markets in the province. So when I talk about the capital markets, I'm talking really about those people who are in the investment industry, the people that provide investment advice, the people that would sell you investments, and the people that actually issue those investments. A key part of our mandate is to provide protection to investors. And one of the best ways to provide protection is to ensure that people have good information. So my role is community outreach. I work within the investor office, which is a branch of the OSC. And the investor office, obviously, we have an outreach program. That's what I do. We also have an educational team, people that develop resources. We also have a policy team because as a regulator, we develop rules and policies. We also have a research team because we need to understand what are the challenges that people face with respect to making good financial decisions. So that's sort of what the investor office does at the OSC. The other thing is, as a regulator, we have the powers to impose fines and take action if people don't follow our rules. So some of the things that we can do if someone's not following the rules is we can impose monetary penalties up to $1 million per breach of the Securities Act. We can also maybe ban someone from working in the industry for life. We also have other tools. We have a whistleblower program. So if people know that someone's not quite following the rules, they can phone in and report that. We also have a special team called JSOT, Joint Serious Offences Team. And this team is composed of staff from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Ontario Provincial Police, and OSC staff. And this Joint Serious Offences Team, they investigate those breaches of the Act in those cases where we might want to take those cases to criminal court so that the offenders can then serve jail time. So in a nutshell, that's sort of what we do at the OSC. But one of the things that we also know is that fraud is a big concern. So a big part of this presentation, we're going to talk about fraud and what's happening in the world of fraud. 1 in 25 Canadians report being a victim of investment fraud. And that's only investment fraud, because there are a variety of different types of frauds out there. 1 in 5 of us will be given the opportunity to participate in a fraudulent scheme. We also know that fraud is an underreported crime. Many times, people that have been victimized don't report it. And why is that? They tell us that they're embarrassed. They don't want family and friends to know that they got taken in. I'm going to tell you right now that anyone can be the victim of a fraud, and there's nothing to be embarrassed about. We're also living right now in the world of COVID 19. And COVID 19, I think, has just provided another opportunity for fraudsters to try and defraud us. Because what's happening is we know that fraud occurs, we know that there are different types of frauds out there. What they're doing right now is maybe there's a particular fraud that's happening, they take it and they tweak it to suit COVID 19 and try and defraud us. And I will give you some examples of those types of frauds. But what I want to tell you right now is between March and November of last year, Canadians reported losing almost $7 million in COVID 19 related frauds. And that's only COVID 19 related frauds. And remember, these numbers are soft because many times people don't report that they've been the victim of a fraud. So, what are some of those COVID 19 related frauds? Warning about your finances. And some of us may have even received these emails and text messages where they send us a thing saying there's a problem with your finances. Well, right now, fraudsters know that we're all concerned about our family, our health, our safety, and our finances. So they're using this, sending out these emails, these text messages, saying there's a problem, and in order to fix that problem, all they need is some personal sensitive financial information. Okay. Then there's these fake government messages. You may have heard about the CRA scam, Canada Revenue Agency scam, where people were being contacted saying there's a problem with their taxes and then being threatened and told to send money right away. Well, what are they saying right now? We can help you apply for some of those support programs that the Government of Canada, Government of Ontario has put in place to help Canadians during this COVID 19 period. So, again, they're just trying to get access to your information because with that, they can then use it for their own gains. Advance fee loans. If you need a loan during this period, what they're saying right now is they can help you get that loan faster. And all you need to do is pay a small fee. Well, if you need money, of course you want it right away. So you might just be tempted to pay that small fee. Remember, these are fraudsters. They take your money and then they disappear. And then there's the work from home scam. Perhaps you're looking for employment or your working hours are reduced, whatever. You're looking to earn or supplement income. So one of the ways that you can do that is work from home, make very high profits by trading securities. And you don't need any license or any experience in the financial market. Remember, I work for a regulator, and anyone providing financial advice, investment advice, selling securities, trading in securities has to be registered with the Securities Commission. So right away, that's another fraud. So another type of fraud that we have happening right now is the pump and dump. And you may have even seen some news stories about the pump and dump earlier this week. And what's a pump and dump? This is actually an investment fraud. It's one where the fraudsters buys a bunch of worthless stock that nobody wants. And then they put out positive news about the stock. So what these fraudsters will normally do is call people up, promote the stock, and say, buy it right now because the company is doing so well, the price will only go up. So they get you to buy the stock. But what they're saying right now is that the companies that they're selling, those shares, are in companies that are providing a product or a service that can help with COVID 19. The last notice I saw about the pump and dump, it was that they were selling vaccination kits. Now we know that our government is providing free vaccines. So what are these fraudsters doing? You know what? They're saying that they have kits to help you. Remember, these are worthless stock. So once the stock is all sold, they disappear with your money. and you're left with these worthless stock. Then there's affinity fraud. And what's affinity fraud? Affinity fraud is one where fraudsters either share a common identity or a common purpose with a group. Common identity could be you belong to the same culture, the same religion, or maybe common purpose. You are interested in sports, so you're a member of a sports club, or you know what, you're part of a networking group, professional networking group, whatever. You share a common purpose. So how does that work? Fraudster joins the group for the sole purpose of defrauding you. So they join the group, they attend all these group meetings, and really by attending all these group meetings, they then develop relationships with the membership. So once they've developed a strong relationship with the members, they're going to tell you how they're going to help you make money. As soon as one person within the group gives money, likely the rest will follow suit. Fraudster gets your money, and guess what? They drop out of the group and they disappear. And then you've been the victim of an affinity fraud. Then there's the Ponzi scheme. And again, this was in the news this week. Gosh, this has been a busy week for these frauds. So how does a Ponzi scheme work? Well, in a Ponzi scheme, I'm the fraudster, I say to you, hey, don't leave your money in the bank. You leave it in the bank, you're not even going to make 1%. Why don't you give me your money? Let me invest it for you. And I can guarantee you high returns. You're thinking to yourself, well, I make sense. You're not making much money in the bank. So maybe you give me your money. So what I do is I keep on recruiting more and more people to give me their money. Now, the first person I recruited turns to me and says, Chris, I'm still waiting to see those high returns. And I said, you're doing so well. You made 20% returns on your investment. And I said, okay, well, I'd like to see my 20% returns. So, I'm trying to convince them to leave the money with me, but no, they want the returns. Not a problem. So the next person that I recruit, that I get money from, I take some of that money and I give it to that first person and say, here's your 20% returns. And that's how a Ponzi scheme works. I take money from the new people and I share some of that with those earlier people that I recruited. There is no investment going on because I'm not really investing their money for them. Usually as a Ponzi fraudster, Ponzi guy, I actually invest your money in me. I take your money, I live a wonderful life, I have nice vehicles, I have nice homes, I take wonderful vacations. Now, at some point in time, this scheme is going to get too big for me because what happens is, remember, I have to keep bringing in more and more people into the group. I have to convince them to give me money. I have to keep track of who I've paid, who I haven't paid out. So when the group gets too unwieldy, I walk away and I let it collapse. And then you've been the victim of a Ponzi scheme. If you've been the victim of a fraud, there's a very good chance that you can be re-victimized. 3 out of 10 fraud victims are repeat victims. And people have said to me, gosh, I've lost money once. There is no way I'm going to lose money a second time. It's very easy. Think about it. I've defrauded you in a Ponzi scheme. Certainly, I cannot come back and defraud you a second time because now you're on to me. You know I'm a fraudster. But I have something very valuable. I have your names and I have your contact information. So what do? I reach out to another fraudster, a fellow fraudster, because you know what? They probably have a list of names of people that they've defrauded and cannot go back and defraud. So what do? As fraudsters, we maybe exchange lists. So then that fraudster gets new names and I get new names. Or maybe I say to the fraudster, buy my list because it's a lucrative list, and I sell the list. However it works, your names are now shared with another fraudster. So what does this fraudster do in different ways that they can get your money? But one of the ways is they call you up. Oh, hello, this is John. I was defrauded by Chris. There's a whole group of us that Chris has defrauded. And we're, getting together, trying to hire a lawyer and see if we can get as much money back as possible. We're hoping to get back, 70 cents on every dollar, and we want to take Chris to court. So I'm trying to reach out to as many victims as possible to see if they would like to join our group and contribute toward the legal fees. That sounds highly reasonable to me. I lost money. Here's another person that lost money, and we're trying to get money back. So as soon as I say yes, count me in, guess what? You're now the victim of a double dip because Chris took your money, and now John has just scammed you and taken your money. These are just some examples of some of the frauds that are going on. But what I want to talk to you about is, how do you know an opportunity is not such a good opportunity? What are some of those warning signs? First one is high pressure sales tactics. Hey, have I got a deal for you? But I need your answer by 3 o'clock. What have I just done? I've said I've got a wonderful deal, given you a very short time limit so that you don't think about the deal. All you think is, oh my goodness, I have to act right away. I'm a fraudster. I don't want you to think about the deal or examine it too closely because I want you to act. I just want to get your money. So anyone pressuring you, take a step back, walk away, think about the deal. Okay. Second red flag, and this is one we get all the time: phone calls, emails, texts, maybe even mail from people you don't know offering you a wonderful opportunity. If I don't know you and you don't know me, you should be very suspicious and question, why is that person offering me this wonderful opportunity? What's in it for them? How do they benefit? Now let's think back to some of those emails where you might have gotten something with a warning about your finances. Let's say you get something and it's from a financial institution that you do business with, and they're warning you that there's a problem with your finances. Well, I would be very concerned and want to act right away. And likely these fraudsters are asking you to send, some kind of information in order to help you fix your finances. What are you going to do? You're going to ignore those emails. You're going to ignore those calls and text messages. What you're going to do is contact that organization, that financial institution that you already have a relationship with. Call them and ask them, did someone contact me? Is there a problem with my account? That way, at least, you're guaranteed that you are speaking with someone who actually works for that organization. Same thing with these calls from government agencies. And you know what? If it's a big organization, maybe you also want to get the person's name. Where are you calling from? What's your name? Wonderful. I'll call back and follow up. Because what you don't want to do is have them give you a phone number and then you call that phone number and follow up. Because I'm a fraudster. If you ask me or I give you a phone number to call, I'll give you a phone number that is answered by another fraudster who can then, claim to be from that organization before transferring the call to me. So what you always want to do is follow up with the organization directly. And if you get a name of a person and it's going to make it easier for you to reach the right department, then get that person's name and just say you'll follow up. But don't ever respond to these emails or text messages, because what you want to do is protect your financial information, protect your sensitive information. Similarly, somebody asks you for money, you're not going to send money because you don't know who's asking you for money. And people say, well, I wouldn't send money to someone I don't know. But it's very easy because you have these emergency scams, grandparent scams, all these scams that are going on. Think about the CRA scam. And it does happen because I'll give you an example. I was giving this presentation a couple months ago and someone shared, we're all online. So we're doing everything online. She's on Facebook and she gets a message from a friend telling her that, she's having some difficulties and needs help. Of course, this is your friend, so you want to help. So immediately she sends her friend some money. It's only later on that she was able to talk to her friend and she's saying, oh, I hope I was able to help you with your situation. I hope everything is better right now. And her friend is very perplexed. What are you talking about? I did not contact you. There was no issue, whatever, whatever. So obviously that was a scam. So you don't know. People can call, pose to be a friend, and sound highly agitated, and claiming that they need you to send money right away. And that's what you don't want to do. You don't want to send money or share information with people you don't know. So verify, verify, verify. Free incentives. Someone offers you something for free, likely they want something in return. So just be very careful. Promises of high or guaranteed returns with little to no risk. Well, think about that Ponzi scheme. I'm promising you high or guaranteed returns with little to no risk. Think about what's happening in the marketplace today. If everyone's only making 1%, if that much, on their savings, or they're making only 6% on their investments, how can someone promise you 20, 25%? So just be very careful when these people are promising these high or guaranteed returns. Encourage to recruit family and friends. You know what? I took your money in a Ponzi scheme. I shared some money with you. So it looks like your investments are doing well. And I want you to maybe go out and get friends and family and get them to also participate. Okay. So just be careful because you never know what you're getting other people involved in. Then there's unregistered business or individual. What do we mean by that? I work for a regulator. So if you're working with someone who is providing you with investment advice, maybe selling you investments, you want to make sure that that person is registered with the Securities Commission, okay? Because registration will protect you from unqualified or fraudulent individuals. And I'll show you how to check registration in a minute. So just falsifying financial information. Really, this person is giving you bad advice. One of the ways is maybe there's certain investments where you need to have a certain uh, meet a certain financial requirement, and somebody says, "Hey, you know what? You can participate because we will make an exception for you." Just be very wary because now they're asking you to not quite follow the rules. Likely, this person, you know what, may not be acting in your best interest. Then there's tax avoidance strategy. Nobody likes to pay taxes. However, there are plans out there that can help us minimize the amount of taxes we pay. There are plans out there so that we can be more tax efficient. But there are no plans out there where we can avoid paying taxes. So just be very careful when somebody says, hey, we can help you avoid taxes, we can help you evade paying taxes, because really you don't want to be on the wrong side of the Canada Revenue Agency. And then the last warning sign, acting on inside information, a hot tip or a hot scoop. My sharing inside information or a hot tip is illegal. Your acting on that information is also illegal. Okay? So these are just some of the warning signs that an opportunity may not be such a good opportunity. So what do we want you to do? Be skeptical. Question these unsolicited opportunities that you get, whether it's an investment or something else that you get. Question these because these are unsolicited. Okay, get a second opinion. If it's related to investment, make sure you get a second opinion from someone who's qualified, like a registered advisor, like a lawyer or an accountant. Take the time you need. There is no opportunity, there is no deal that is so good that you would need to act right on the spot and sign on the dotted line. Do your homework. If it's something you're interested in, do your research. If it's related to an investment, make sure you understand how that investment works, how risky it is. Understand the fees, understand the cost. You can always contact the OSC. We're here to help. We have a toll-free number, 1-877-785-1555. You don't need to take the number down. Remember, I'm going to share this information with Cassie so that she can share it with you later on. So I talked about doing a background check. How do you do a background check? You can call the OSC, Or you can go online, checkbeforeyouinvest.ca, and it will take you to a national database. Now, when you check registration, what you're going to find out is the registration category for that individual that you're doing business with. Because people can be registered to provide different services, they could provide different products. You want to know who it is you're dealing with. You want to know what they can provide and what they're registered to do for you. Also, as a regulator, if we were to take disciplinary action, that information would be in that individual's file. So when you check registration, you also will find out if there was disciplinary action in this person's background. Now I'm going to answer a question I get all the time. Well, I work with someone at a big financial institution, so I'm pretty sure I'm safe. I don't have to check registration. But remember, you're just not checking that they're registered. You're checking to find out what this person's registration category is so that you can understand what it is that they are registered to do. What services can they provide you? What products can they sell you? And then you also get disciplinary action. If you're working with an individual, this person is helping you manage your investments. It's in your best interest to find out as much about them as possible. Now, I talked about some of these scams. What do you do if you suspect a scam? Report it. It's important to report it because by reporting a scam, you might prevent someone else from becoming a victim. So who can you report the scam to? You can report it to us, Ontario Securities Commission, the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre is another government agency, and you can also report it to your local police. Depending on the type of scam, we all have different things, different jurisdictions. So that at the OSC, we would investigate breaches of the Securities Act. So that would be investment fraud. But if you contact us and it's not related to an investment fraud, we can share your information with the appropriate agency, the appropriate law enforcement agency, or we could even refer you to the appropriate agency. So it's important to reach out and contact us. Contact any one of these organizations, us, the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre, or your local police. So this now ends the fraud section of our presentation. So what I'm going to talk a little bit about is saving and investing, what type of plans are available, what to think about if you're working with a financial representative. So you may be familiar with tax-free savings account. This is a registered savings plan. And as a registered savings plan, what that means is that these plans are registered with the Canada Revenue Agency, and usually there's some type of tax benefit for us. So with a tax-free saving account, the benefit is that you can put in money, or you can put in investments, or a combination of money and investments. And as it grows and earns interest, when you take out money out of that account, you don't pay any taxes on the earnings, right? So that's why it's a tax-free savings account. But when you open these types of registered plans, you need to be aware that there are rules. One of the rules with a tax-free savings account is that there's an annual maximum contribution amount. So this year, 2021, the annual amount you can put in the account is $6,000. If you put in $7,000, you will have over-contributed and you will be taxed heavily. I think it's 1% per month on every dollar that's over-contributed. I could be wrong, but I think that's how it works. That kind of defeats the purpose of a tax-free savings account if you're going to be paying taxes just because you over-contribute. So what you always want to do is make sure you're following the rules. And don't forget, this year you're allowed $6,000. If you cannot put in if you can't put in the full 6,000, any unused contribution room gets carried forward. So let's say this year you only put in 2,000. So you have 4,000 that you didn't use. You can carry forward that next year. So next year you will have $4,000 plus whatever next year's contribution rate is. Okay, so that's a tax-free savings account. You can open it and you can save for anything, and you can hold a mixture of cash and investments. And there are other rules related to having this type of an account, And you can learn all about this on our website, and I will tell you where to get more information. Tax-free savings account, you save for anything. The benefit is that any earnings, any gains, when you take it out of this account, you don't pay any taxes. What's important to remember is that there are rules in having and owning these types of accounts. So what you want to do is always follow the rules. Every year there's a maximum amount that you can put in. So you don't want to over contribute, otherwise you will be taxed on that. Okay? If you don't put in the maximum amount, that amount that is unused can be carried forward to next year. If you need to take money from the account, you can withdraw money. If you take money out, you can certainly put in the money that you take out, put it back in. Let's say you take out 1,000. You say, well, I want to put back in 1,000. You can certainly do that. Recommendation is you put in that 1,000 the next calendar year. Okay, just makes it very easy. And there's a reason why. If you were to put in the full 6,000 this year, and then you took out 1,000 and you put back 1,000, Canada Revenue Agency will look at it and says, well, you put in 6 and now you put in 1,000, you put in 7. So it looks like you over contributed because they're not looking at this year's withdrawals. So what you want to do, if you take out money, put it back in the next year, because the next year they will look and say, oh yes, you can put in that extra 1,000. Okay, so lots of rules, and I'll show you where to get more information about these types of plans later on. So another plan I want to touch on is the Registered Education Savings Plan. This is a plan to help you save for your children's post-secondary education. We know elementary school and high school, there is no cost to going to school. But if your children want to go on to further education after graduating from high school, there is a cost. So this particular plan, you open it to save for their education, and you can also be eligible for government grants. There are different types of plans. And again, you need to understand how these RESP plans work. Because if you open an individual or a family plan, and you open these at your financial institution, so you've opened this plan at a financial institution, it means that you're the one making the decisions. You decide how much money to put in. You decide when to put in the money. You decide whether you want to put in cash and investments or cash alone or whatever. Or you may decide that you'd like to join a group plan. And that's where you possibly go to a scholarship plan dealer where they take your money and other families' money, pull it together and invest it for you, for your children. With these group plans, you have to follow their rules. And usually there are higher fees when you join these plans. What I'm going to say is that usually people join a group plan and they forget to ask certain questions. So you join the group plan and they have a schedule where you have to contribute money on a monthly basis. People forget to ask, well, what happens if I, after a couple of years in the plan, I decide that I no longer want to be part of the plan? Can I withdraw? Am I penalized? Or maybe you've been putting money in and for whatever reason, you miss 1 month's payment. What happens if you miss a month payment? People forget to ask that question. So just understand that, these plans have rules, particularly these group plans, because they're more restrictive. They have more rules. So you need to understand what those rules are, okay? So there's RESPs to help you save for your children's education, tax-free savings account where you can save for anything. And the next plan I'm going to talk about is a registered retirement savings plan. And this is a plan, exactly as it sounds, help you save for your retirement. Who can open a plan? Anyone that has worked and has filed a tax return. Why is that? When you file your tax return, Canada Revenue Agency reviews it, then sends you a notice of assessment. And when they send you that notice of assessment, it says you have X dollars contribution room because your RRSP Your registered retirement savings plan contribution room is based on your earnings. Okay. So when you get that notice of assessment, it tells you how much money you can put in the plan. And again, these plans, you put in money, you can put in investments, you can have a combination of it. These savings grow tax-free. You can also claim a tax deduction when you file your tax returns. But understand that there are rules again around it. You don't want to over-contribute, okay? And you must hold a plan, or not hold a plan, but you can only participate in an RRSP till you're 71. And then you have to do or make other decisions. Lots more rules around how these work, but these are plans to help us save for different things. And there are benefits to having these plans. It's just we need to understand how they work. And I'll show you where you can get more information about the different plans. Okay? But what I want to talk about and spend a few minutes before I open it up for questions is I shared how you can save, and you talk about, you can save, you put in money, and you can also put in investments. So maybe you want to work with someone. You want to work with a financial representative. You work with a financial representative. They have to get to know you, understand your financial situation, your goals, your time horizon, your risk tolerance. They'll make suitable investment recommendations for you. And then they'll be able to understand how those products work. And that's why it's really important that you work with someone who's registered, because they have those qualifications. They must also tell you how they're paid. Money is personal to many of us, and sometimes people don't ask how financial advisors are paid. So this person is working for you. It's in your best interest to ask how they're paid, because they can be paid in different ways. They can receive a salary. Perhaps they receive a commission for every product they sell you. Perhaps it's a percentage, a fee, or perhaps it's a combination of those ways. This person is working for you. Sure, you should ask, how are you being paid? So if you're working with this person, ask questions if they make investment recommendations. Understand your risk tolerance, okay? Because they will explain to you the risk tolerance or the risk structure for any products. But you have to understand your risk tolerance, because the riskier an investment, the likelihood you could make higher returns. But remember, it's a riskier investment, so likelihood you could also lose everything. But then internally, how do you process risk? Will you sleep well at night if you were to invest in something that's highly volatile? What do I mean by that? Think about a stock. Let's say you buy a stock and you buy it at $10. The next day, it trades and it's selling at $15. Well, now you're quite excited because you know what? You're making lots of money. But the day after that, it drops to $7. Now you've lost all that money. So, and it keeps going up and down like a yo-yo, this investment price. You can't sleep at night. So you know what? You're investing for your future well-being, your financial well-being. And I say to people, also understand how you process risk internally, because if you invest in something that's going to give you sleepless nights, likely it's not something for you. Okay, so you need to share that information with your financial representative. And when you get your statements, confirmation slips, always review these documents. Just like we say, review your credit card bills and everything, because review them right away. If there's a problem, you can get in touch with them, tell them there's a problem, and get it fixed. Okay, if you forget about it, don't look at it. You might forget what you discussed, what you agreed to, and then by that time you're looking at the thing and you're like, oh my goodness, what did we talk about? I have to go look at my notes, and you're trying to remember. So always review these things right away so that if you notice a problem, you can get it rectified. And then it's good to have regular communications with this person, because you need to keep them up to date on what's happening in your life. I say regular communications. I think it's good to at least meet with this person, whether it's online, face-to-face, at least once a year. Because then you can review, your portfolio. You can talk about the fees you've paid. You can update them on your life. I'm just looking at buying a new home. So, you need to let them know, because this may impact your portfolio. Or you think, you know what, I'm changing jobs, this is happening, or I have a new child and I want to ensure that I start saving for my child's education. So all of these things are good to, discuss with that financial person. That's why it's always good to have regular communication, meet with them at least once a year to keep them up to date with what's happening in your life, to ensure that your finances are on track to help you meet your goals. What questions to ask before you invest? How does it work? Why should I buy it? How will it help me reach my goals? How risky is it? So these are just some of the questions to think about if someone's making an investment recommendation. Okay? Now, what to do if you have a problem? You said, oh gosh, you know what? I'm starting working with someone already. I'm not happy. I think there's a problem. Talk to that person at banking services and investments, or you can contact the Protection Clinic. You know what? Lots to do. You can always call the OSC. We have a contact center. We have a team of people there that can help you. So if you're not sure what to do, this is a complex process, you can always call us and we will walk you through the process. I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes on where to get more information because I've just shared a ton of stuff with you. Our website, getsmarteraboutmoney.ca. This is our website, so we're not selling you anything. We just want to give you good information, okay? We have a whole section on COVID-19 and your money, because on this section, you can find information about the different types of frauds, COVID-19 related frauds that are happening. People were also contacting us and wanting to know how their investments were protected during this time. People that had investments were also wondering about their investments during the market when it was highly volatile. So I have all kinds of information like that on this section of the site. If you're new to investing and you want to learn about different investment products, we cover lots of different investment products. So you can certainly go and learn about bonds, GICs, stocks, exchange traded funds, all these things. Crypto assets. If you're familiar with Bitcoins, this is one type of crypto asset, okay? And Bitcoin's been in the news a lot, so I've got a lot of people asking me questions about it. And understand that Bitcoin is a crypto asset. It is one form. There are several different types of crypto assets or digital currencies that are out there in the marketplace. Just be aware, this is a new product. So regulations around this cryptocurrency, these digital currencies, are still evolving. They're highly volatile in price. If you're following Bitcoin, I think at one time the price shot up to 48,000 and then it went back down to 30,000. So something you're interested in, really learn, understand how these products work, understand how risky they are before you get into it. And we have information on our website about crypto assets. Wills and estate planning, another section of our site that people were looking for information on. And I think it's, COVID-19 has people thinking about, I need to get my affairs in order. So they've been looking at a lot of information on our site. I've shared a lot of information with you. People go on our website, they can't find information. So sometimes they'll send in their question. They send in their question, we respond. And depending on the question, it may be one that we think other people may be interested in the answer. So what have we done? We've created a page on getsmarteraboutmoney.ca where we post those questions and answers to those questions. So it's just another resource, another place for you to get more information. And then we have a multilingual site, information in 22 languages to help people that, may need the information in another language. And lots of resources, calculators, videos, all sorts of tools also on the website. And lastly, if you're active on social media, you can follow us on Twitter @smarter_money, or visit our Facebook page @getsmarteraboutmoney, or our YouTube site Get Smarter About Money, where you might learn, we have a YouTube video on what is a TFSA, or we have a video on some of these COVID-19 related frauds. You want to learn what's new, what's happening, you can always sign up for our e-newsletter, Investor News, and that's on our website. You can go on getsmarteraboutmoney.ca to sign up. Now I know I've talked a lot, so now it's my turn to stop talking and give you an opportunity to ask questions.
Okay, there are quite a few. So the very first one is, what are your views on world financial groups or financial advisors approaching us?
So if any financial advisor is approaching you, and I'm assuming they're approaching you to offer you investment products, one of the things I say is, if you're interested in working with someone, meet with them, have a list of questions that you should ask them. What you don't want to do is go with the first advisor that approaches you, okay? Because you want to know who it is that you're working with. You want to find out what services they provide. You want to find out who their clients are. Are their client base similar to you? You want to find out, maybe how long they've been in business, what is their investment strategy, how do they work, how they would communicate with you. Because remember, this person is managing your money. You have to really feel comfortable with them, explain your financial situation, explain what you're hoping to achieve, and then get a sense that this person is going to do what's right for you. You have to feel comfortable, right, that this person is going to work for you and do what it is you want. We have on our website a whole section with a list of questions that you can ask to when you're looking for a financial representative. Like, who are your clients? How long have you been in business? What products do you offer? What are your fees like? So I say, treat it like a job interview. And I'll share that information in my email to Cassie so that you know what to look for. So it's good if someone's approaching you, but really you're the client. You want to interview them to ensure that this is the best person that's going to help you. You're comfortable working with this individual. Okay, but very good question, because that's something that people say. People approach me, what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not something we always talk about, right? Yeah.
Okay, how do I find out how much TFSA room I have available?
If you have a TFSA account, oh, you know what? We have a calculator. That may be easier. We have a calculator on our website, and usually you can put in when you opened that account. So let's say you opened it 3 years ago, and if you look in that calculator, it will tell you how much you could have contributed, right? So that will tell you how much room you have, because you will know how much you put in and then how much room you have. Also, your financial institution might be able to help you with that question. So I would say two ways. You can go on our website, we have a TFSA calculator, or you can check with your financial institution. Likely they can tell you how much room you've got or how much you've put in over time.
I would like to invest in an RESP for my son's education. Can you tell me the difference between a guaranteed investment versus a mutual fund? I know mutual funds are risky and have no guarantee of principals, but they also have benefits of a better interest rate. So how do I strike a balance?
Oh, that's a very good question. So guaranteed investment certificates are different from mutual funds. Guaranteed investment certificates, usually you purchase at your bank and your money is locked in for a period of time, and they guarantee to pay you a certain rate of return as long as you don't touch that money for that period of time. Okay. When you invest in a mutual fund, you're buying a basket of stocks. And when you buy that basket of stock, that the price of that mutual fund will be reflected based on how those stocks do. So it goes up and down, because if you look at the stock market, it can go up and down in price. So very different. One is a product that GIC is a product where you're loaning your money to the bank. And by loaning your money to the bank for a period of time, they're guaranteeing you that set interest. When you invest in a mutual fund, you're investing in a basket of stocks. So it is dependent on what's happening in the market. And usually, when you invest in stocks, you're looking likely at higher returns, but it's higher returns over a period of time. Because historically, when you invest in the stock market, usually your returns go up over a period of time. But you know what, if you buy at a period where it's likely high and you need to sell when it's low, you're going to lose. So there is definitely a balance. It's something to think about, but you can certainly learn more about how these products work on our website. And for sure, I'll share that information.
Okay. Do you have any guidance on the benefits for first-time home buyers and what precautions should we take to protect our money and investments?
Guidance on first-time home buyers. You know what? If you're a first-time home buyer and you're asking if you need to save and how to save for that down payment, then what you want to do is ensure that that money is easily accessible, right? You don't want to put it in anything that's locked in because you want to be able to have that ready for when you want to buy your home. Also, think about that investment product that you may want to put your money in because with investments, there's always a chance or a risk that you may lose money. Okay, so it is really up to the individual, to decide what's right for you.
Why does the government restrict how much you can contribute to an RRSP, RESP, and a TFSA?
You know what? That's a very good question, and I can't answer that.
Probably because they want their taxes.
I can't answer that. I don't know what the thinking is behind why they would restrict it. And then you know what, I can say you can go on the government's website. I'm always on the Government of Canada's website. I don't think I've seen anything on why the restrictions are in place. But that's a very good question.
Yeah. What are some technical analysis keys we can use in order to signify when a crash may come? I'm assuming in stock markets or investments.
Yeah, so I wouldn't know what technical analysis you might want to look at. Certainly, you can go online and see what other people are looking at and talking about, but I would not know, and it's not something I would recommend that people look at because it's not something I'm familiar with or would even talk about.
Okay. Can I still take legal action against WFG and similar organizations who defrauded me a few years ago?
If you suspect that you've been the victim of a fraud, contact the OSC. There's certainly a statute of limitations, but call them because I don't know when and how they calculate the statute of limitations depends on when you were first aware of the fraud and all kinds of stuff. So best thing for you to do there is call our contact center at 1-877-785-1555.
Are Bitcoins, because I know we talked a little bit about that, are Bitcoins safe to invest or should you invest at your own risk?
So you're kind of asking, you know what? So as I mentioned, these are new products, highly volatile in price, meaning they're up and down like a yo-yo.
Mm-hmm.
Regulations around these products are evolving, meaning it's constantly changing. So if this is something you're very keen on, learn about it. And I highly suggest you go on our website and read about these cryptocurrencies, how they work, read about how they're regulated, because when you want to buy them, you may need to go to um, uh, an exchange platform. So you want to learn about all these things. And don't forget, this is digital currency. You can't touch it, you can't feel it, right? So you really need to get a handle on what these are before you invest. And that's with any type of investment product, but certainly because Bitcoin or crypto assets are so new and it's been in the news a lot, people are really keen on it. And what I say, you know what, if you're interested in, make sure you know what it is you're getting involved in. So please go on our website, getsmarteraboutmoney.ca, and look up crypto assets and learn about these products.
There's only one more question. Is GIC the same as a term deposit?
Yeah, I think, you know what? I haven't heard the term deposit for a long time, but I think people use them interchangeably because you're putting that money in for a set period of time, right? So with the GIC, it's guaranteed investment certificate. Usually, I think the term deposits, you may have like a 30-day term deposit. So I think they're shorter period, but don't quote me on that. But I think that's how they work. But I think they're very similar. I think the Bank of Canada will also explain the difference if you go to their website, GIC's term deposits.
So if anyone has any last minute questions, feel free. Oh, there's one. What is the difference? She's still typing. It cut off because it says, what is the difference between bank and a financial company?
So usually your bank, and when you say financial company, maybe you're talking about an investment firm. So your banks are the ones where you go to for your bank accounts, you put in your deposits. Some firms, these investment firms, you would open an investment account where you put money in and that money is invested on your behalf. Some banks have an investment arm, right? So like the big banks, um, CIBC, for example, they have CIBC World Markets or CIBC Wood Gundy, which does investments um, for individuals. So the bank, you do your deposits. You can also purchase investment products through them because they also have an investment arm. Whereas the investment firm, you would normally open your investment account where they would invest on your behalf, but you don't put in money and use it like a checking account, is what I would say.
Great. So there are no further questions. I do want to thank everyone for taking the time out of your busy day to join us for today's workshop. I know it's so sunny out, so thank you for staying inside with us right now. And thank you so much, Chris, for a really informative workshop. Definitely a lot of information, but super digestible. And I'm really looking forward to giving everyone all the resources and everything. So thank you so much. I
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate the time.
Okay. Well, thanks again for the invitation. I wish everyone a great day